What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring us every day to feel better, look better, and do better, and especially on 420 Day. Happy 420 Day, man. Yeah. And also, our Thursday night show, brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Bet the games we're betting. The Tigers will eventually lose. Download the Firekeepers app. You can get on those bets with us and the Premier League games that I've got this weekend and everything that we're betting. We'll get into that in a sec. Jason, how you doing, brother? Jason, do you think that Bill Beekman...
What's up, buddy? Happy 420 to you. Are you partaking tonight's show, or yet you can't say? Or...
Yeah, I've got a little bit of work to do after the show tonight, a little bit of a column.
So that's a yes, then.
And ranking like the top, it's just sort of a fun Sunday column that my boss has kind of wanted me to do, and I'm into it. It's like the top 12 MSU coaches in any sport all time.
Wow.
So it's a little bit
July
of
topic.
A little bit of a heavy lift in terms of like, you don't want to screw that up. And
well,
so
I'll do it for the both of us then.
Excellent.
I'll get into my bag of gummies. But by the way, these Jolly gummies are really good. I got them at Skymint this morning at their 420 deal. It was nice waiting in line for an hour. I didn't want to mention who I was or anything. The rube here. But
do you know who I am?
Yeah, right. I've always wanted to do that seriously, but I couldn't do it. But yeah, anyway, so these gummies that if you take one, you automatically want to clean stuff. So at least that happens for me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's your effect?
I've told you this before, yeah. We had in-laws over last week, and like we had to clean. I was like cleaning.
My wife would just feed me those relentlessly if she thought that was the...
It's the weirdest thing, I'm telling you. I don't mind doing dishes. It's great.
I nearly took a Skymint edible today when...
Here.
No, I'm good. I nearly did. We had a bird that came down the chimney.
I saw that.
Not great.
It's a good day to not have a blue check mark, though, right?
Yeah. So
tweet that out.
Yeah, I can hear the bird fluttering. I'm like, son of a bitch. And I don't deal well with, anything.
Animals. Anything
that flies, especially anything that has rodents. I don't do well. I mean, I deal with rodents. My wife's not going to deal with rodents, but she's less afraid of like things that come at you in the air, and bats especially. So, but she was in like 4 straight meetings back to back upstairs. Like, God dang it. So the bird's just fluttering. I can tell it's like panicked in there. So, but I had to wait. I mean,
I'm
not
not as panicked as you are.
I'm not going to do it on my own. Hell no. That bird's going to die before I let it out. And
so if your wife wasn't in a meeting, you would be like, knock on the door and have her deal with it?
No, what happens is we have to close off the house. What we do is we open 2 windows in the living room so it knows where to fly. And it always works because, and then you try to turn all the other shades so it's a little darker. We close the doors upstairs in case it somehow went up there so it doesn't get in a bedroom or something.
Wow.
And then I hold a blanket over the dining room, this giant blanket, so it doesn't go that way. It's like a dark gray blanket, and that's my role, like just big, giant gray blanket protecting my face and blocking the dining room. And my wife reaches up into the flue and helps the bird get out, and that's the way. It's the way we. That's the way
Grabs
we roll.
It by his feet and pets it on the head, and then lets it out the window while you're panicking.
Oh yeah, I'm sweating.
I will say, birds are a wild card, though.
No
you know what I mean? Like out of all the rodents that you've said you've dealt with. Like a rabbit. I mean, those things you can kind of pounce on, but a bird is just going to be fluttering around.
It's so quick. It gets out the window and it's not my favorite thing in the world.
Thank God you're an excellent sports writer because the man portion of you is pretty much ass.
Oh, it's definitely.
I wish you would have been so nervous you would have broke into her meeting. She'd been on like a Zoom call.
Oh, I did the first meeting.
Honey?
I did the first meeting. She gave me a look. I was like, there's a bird in the chimney. She's like, I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to tell you. You're on your own.
I know that interrupt work call look. Treese gives it to me.
It's not great.
To the point where we had to get a sign that says on air, so she flips it on. But
is that what? Does she really have a sign that says on air when she's on work? Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Usually I'm just bringing her tea and she doesn't mind in the meeting, so she's not immediately doesn't give me that look. But when I had something to say, it was like, what do you want? Yeah. Anyway, that is a story almost worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. Great place for a drink this weekend, a date night out, brunch on the weekends. a beer when you finally get out on Friday. Love the menu there. It's got character of the place. Like, it's a place you take somebody on a date night, and it feels like you've done some preparation and you've gone to a place that isn't just a cliche. That's Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing. All right, are you ready to before we dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions, are you ready to do what we're betting this weekend?
Yeah, man.
All right.
I'm sure I'll float. Or are you going to do your read?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What we're betting sorry. We'll get that.
Those weren't 20 MGs, were they? I think they were 10.
All right, as we do every week, we begin with what we're betting this weekend, presented by Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Jason, what are you betting this week?
20 pieces, 10 MGs a piece. Good. All right. I'm going to probably throw in a parlay, baseball parlay, which Major League Baseball, woof, it's been brutal. So hopefully we can do something there. But I'm going to start studying for the NFL draft next week. My friend Jordan, Michigan fan Jordan, don't hold that against him. He runs a good contest for the NFL draft. It's 100 questions. It's multiple choice questions. You can answer them for a $100 buy-in. We have 25 people currently. I think top 4, don't quote me, top 3 for sure pay. But if the more people we get, the more places that will get paid. And by the way, the winner last 2 years has done zero research. So if you think like maybe if you want to make the NFL draft interesting and fun for $100 with a possibility of winning a couple grand, I mean, why not do it, right? So
Absolutely.
So let me know if you can message me or Graham or the show, and we'll get you started.
And if $100 feels like a lot, it can be, and so we understand that too.
Sure.
Although some of us dropped 100 on Man U against Sevilla today, so it happens. All right. What I am betting this weekend, a few things. One, I love the Sacramento Kings. So what they have is a thing called correct score, series correct score. So you have to pick the exact games or what the score will be. Sacramento Kings are up 2-0. Sacramento Kings to sweep is still plus 900. Look, the Warriors, I know they're going home, but they are a different team without Draymond Green. And I'm not saying they're going to sweep. I'm just saying there's value in plus 900. And because if it gets to 3-0, it would be very interesting to see the level of fight. And I think they would have fight at home, and I think they'd ultimately get it back. But I love it plus 900, the Kings to sweep. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit on that. And then a couple in the soccer world, few things I love. If you're looking to throw things in a parlay and just feel like you need to bring the juice down on, say you got a game that's minus 150 and you'd like it to be closer to even money, Manchester City minus 782 against Sheffield United, a good way to do that. You throw that in there, it just helps bring it down.
Minus 782.
It's a lot. It's
Who are
in
they
the
playing?
FA Cup. It's an FA Cup game against Sheffield United. It's a division down, but that's actually. That would be about what it would be for some of their lesser Premier League teams. I also like Arsenal minus 603 against Southampton. Again, these are not on their own, but I'm saying you put Man City and Arsenal in a parlay and it brings your juice down and you're pretty safe in those two things happening. The other thing I like, and Torquay United on the road this week, plus a pick'em is plus 104. So 0-0, you don't lose your money. 1-1, you don't lose your money. If they win, it's better than even money. At this team called, I think it's Altrincham. I don't even know how to pronounce it. But Torquay United had won 5 straight. They're trying to stave off relegation. They lost last week to Chesterfield, team way at the top. They've got another game coming up against Wrexham to close the season, and they're going to need points there. Torquay United, 5th division. Not every book has it, but if you have a book that takes Torquay United, if you have a guy or you have Torquay United in the 5th division in the National League of English Soccer is one way to go.
Peacock.
Yeah.
So not only did you drop 50,000 numbers, 2 of which were minus 783 and minus 6 something.
Yeah.
Which with 2009 Graham, sprinkle on those.
Absolutely.
The money line.
He'd be all over. I'm not going to do the money line because 2009 Graham is dead.
Yeah, that's
my
question.
Premier League best bet, however, is a game on Saturday, Manchester United at Brighton. Brighton's a much better team. The money is moving toward them, so I would get on it quick. Still, you can get as a pick'em, like minus 134. And they're a better team than Man U, which just lost at Sevilla today. Brighton at home, better team than Man U the way they're playing right now. That's a brand. The reason that's a pick'em is the brand still of Manchester United. Brighton is a better team. They're playing a little bit better right now. I love that game. I love the pick'em if you can get it, even with the juice. Brighton at home, against Manchester United, and that is what we are picking this week, presented by Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Are you ready to dig into the Groovy Donut Twitter questions?
Is that what a soccer podcast sounds like?
Oh,
yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's rough, isn't it? I love it. There's one called Wonder Goal I listen to every week. It's great.
All right. Eric Schultz up first. Payton Thorne was allegedly injured all of last year to a degree that it significantly affected his play. Yet we never saw anything. Not a grimace, not a limp, nothing. Is he the toughest football player of all time, or is he embellishing the severity of his injury?
So we knew he was hobbled a little bit. We didn't know what, and so there were grimaces. There were moments that weren't 100%. And it's a good question in terms of the pain medication that gets you through.
He's tough. He seems like a tough dude.
Yeah, I think he is a tough kid. I don't know that he's. I think you can get through. I mean, look at Sabonis the other night. Sabonis got, he took 10 bullets to the chest and he played the rest of the game.
Wait, are they still saying that Sabonis did not grab Draymond's leg on purpose? Is that what the argument was today?
No. That, of course, happened. Of course.
Okay, I heard people saying that.
No, it's a ridiculous argument. I'm not going to question whether Thorne, I don't think I don't think he's embellishing this. Now, he obviously was healthy enough to play and healthy enough that they didn't think he couldn't play despite his injuries if he wanted to play. So, severity of injury, take that. But I do think he was greatly hobbled. Now, that doesn't affect your decision-making in certain ways. And when you miss a wide-open guy and throw to somebody else, that's a decision thing. That's a sight thing. There are still things to criticize about Payton Thorne's game and things that he's going to have to prove. Number one, that he's better at. And number two, that when he's healthy, he's a more accurate passer. I really liked, in his best moments in 2021, I thought he had a pretty live arm and was pretty accurate. And then he would have these moments where his feet would get kind of screwy. And for him, it really was all in the footwork. But there were also some decision stuff last year, and I think he probably lost a little bit of confidence. And it's a good question.
With the injury thing and kind of hiding that, isn't it almost as worse than like telling the opposing team your injuries? Because all the speculation going on about who's injured with what.
Well, it's a good question. I mean,
especially for the fan base.
The speculation and fan base doesn't technically hurt you on the field, though, if you can get through it mentally. Now, you could argue that dealing with that as a 21-year-old or 22-year-old, dealing with the doubt, dealing with a fan base that doesn't really want you as the quarterback, dealing with all of the criticism is worse than having a couple 300-pound dudes who know your left hip ain't right or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's a fair.
But I think those
debate.
Guys are going to go for your hip no matter if they know it or not.
If they know exactly what's hurting, they'll come at it.
There's some of that, but I think you could still talk about a little bit about injuries, so the fans know if someone's playing so poorly, but they're going through an injury. It's just kind of.
You know what? If I were the coaching staff and I were Payton Thorne. Number one, I'm a grown-ass man. If I want to say if I'm injured, I'm going to say it. I don't really care what people are telling me not to do. But the other thing is, if I'm the coaching staff, I'm a little more, he's battling some stuff now. He can play, and we don't want to get into the specifics of it, but he's definitely understand that he's not quite what he usually is. Now, the problem with that line, though, is the easy follow-up is, why don't you play Noah Kim? Because then that forces you to criticize your backup. Well, he ain't ready, So it's a tricky spot. Football coaches forever have not been very revealing with this stuff, and and players when they're hurt and they're not themselves. Look, think about Kenneth Walker, the Ohio State game where he had like 6 carries for 25 yards and they got shelled that year, and he was nowhere near himself.
I don't want to think about that.
I'm just saying, like. And I can't even remember
any other terrible moments in MSU history you want to bring up.
But I feel like we all knew something was going on with him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like there was a way of knowing that he wasn't 100%, and that sort of the problem with what happened to Payton Thorne last year, as he tells it, it's happened so early that you never saw a change. So like if Payton Thorne had like 4 great games, and then all of a sudden it was like that doesn't look like him. People would say, something must have happened there. But when in game one you get hurt, nobody ever sees the other side of you if it exists.
Dominic next. Anyone else spending 2 to 3 hours per day watching Graham defend his MSU Twitter writer brethren? Hope you're at least on retainer for this, Graham.
It's what I do. It's a calling, and yeah.
What are you doing today? What happened?
No,
why do I always miss these things?
I got on yesterday, and look, if I jump on there, sometimes it's because I respect your opinion, or you've got a big enough following that people are paying attention. But a lot of times, I'm willing to have that discourse with people. I'm not looking to. And there was a particular article that I thought just sort of misconstrued some of the media point. Like, one of the things that's happened is there's this sort of perception that the media is anti-Payton Hauser, and that's just not it. Like, there's no.
Who said that?
Well, I mean, some of the pushback Solari got was that he was taking shots at. It was Solari, or was it
Sharbs?
Sharbs.
Yeah.
One of the two that they were taking. I think it was Solari actually took shots for this one. Oh. That he was like taking shots at a 19-year-old, which isn't at all true. But there was such a defensive nature around the bubble of Payton Hauser. And
is that where you like float around and copy and paste the same point on each people? Like, why is he replying to this person?
Yeah, well, so sometimes they're good people I like, and I'm willing to have the discourse. So
can I get an alert, Elon? Like, when that shit's going down, something. Next one from Dominic. Jason, will you do Coach K chastising Graham for eating too many apricot fritters? Damn it, Graham. No. No. You're too fat to eat apricot fritters. They're all my fritters. It's all I eat. It's all I like. No. That's all I got.
Pretty good. Speaking of apricot fritters, though, that is Groovy Donuts. Well set up, by the way, Dominic. Groovy Donuts has apricot crumble fritters available this week, Friday through Sunday. All right. You can go to groovydonuts.com to place your order, or just swing by either location, Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing, or in Williamston, and they're open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Every Thursday through Sunday. But the apricot crumble fritter.
No.
And they point out,
no more.
Made with love, as they say, and they're made with a lot more than that. It's incredible. It's you've seen me. The picture you took of me eating a fritter.
That was so many years ago.
At the ballpark. It was like a bun for a burger.
Yeah.
And it looked like I was having an orgasm. It was not a flattering. But anyway, that is, you too can have that feeling with Groovy Donuts, with the apricot crumble. See,
I hope these edibles kick in for one of us. Jesus. Dominic next. My 4-year quit anniversary from cigarettes was posted on Facebook earlier in the week, and Graham couldn't be bothered to even give me a love react, yet still he has the time to post his spring game piece 11 times. Why does Graham want me to end up like Brooks?
Oh, I don't, Dominic. And I will get on there and I will love it.
Dominic was here.
Yeah.
Don't do that to him.
I think
4 years. Congrats, man. That's crazy.
I thought I did like it because I remember seeing it. I'm surprised at myself. It's not like me. I
wonder if he did the gum to quit the nicotine gum, because people get addicted to that. They start chewing nicotine gum forever.
Yeah, I'm wondering, was it cold turkey? Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah, no, I props to anybody who does it. It seems rather difficult.
Kevin from Rochester Hills next. Which scenario is more likely to happen in the next 2 years? The Lions win the Super Bowl or Tiger Woods winning a major?
What do you think?
Oh, it's Lions winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree.
Tiger just had surgery again. They're speculating he might have to sit out a year. I don't think he has what it takes to win another major. So
it's weird because I didn't see 2019 coming either, and I guess
that was before the accident.
If it ever happens again, well, no, wasn't it after the accident? It was after the accident.
2019. Yeah. I thought he got in the accident. COVID.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Here, get some
Hold on. Yeah. Oh, you're right. I apologize. Yeah. I kept thinking. Yeah, in my head, I misremembered that. I kept thinking.
Tiger and his team are so good at making you forget this shit.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? When was that? What was the waitress? Perkins waitress?
If it ever happens again, it's likely to be the Masters because, of course, that he, obviously is.
He just doesn't have it.
Does well, but the other one, if he gets a few years healthy, you remember like Tom Watson a few years ago was in the lead at the British Open, shorter type course, different type course, late on Sunday when he was like 59 years old, like that. that's the sort of, if it's ever going to happen, that's the.
But Watson hasn't done to his body what Tiger's done.
No, I'm just saying there could be,
It's tough.
as good once as you ever were type week where it feels good and it all comes together. I'm not saying it would never happen, but the Lions are certainly more likely, right? Yeah.
Maybe.
One more from Kevin.
Oh, shit. Sorry, Kevin. Which pro Detroit team is most likely to be sold in the next 5 years?
This is a good question.
None. 0. Who's going to sell? The Ford family?
It won't be the Ford family.
I mean, unless we find out some like Daniel Snyder shit on Illich. I mean, can we do some digging on that, hackers?
It's possible.
Help us out.
I do wonder this. Well, I wonder if Gore's, whatever reasons, the price goes up, he loses it, whatever. I wonder if Gore's a little bit would be my guess. But Chris Illich, if like this iteration doesn't work and he's cheap and people hate him so much, I wonder if he doesn't sell the Tigers and keep the Wings.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
I just don't see him caring. And Gore's, I mean, the Pistons are going to turn things around soon. Why would he want to sell? I mean, unless he's offered $5 billion for the Pistons or something.
If he fucks this up, the line on his tombstone and the first line of his obituary needs to be exactly that, though. He didn't care. That is your entire legacy. You didn't give a shit.
Illich or Gore's?
Illich. You didn't care. You didn't give a shit.
That's already going to go on it.
He
would need a miraculous turnaround.
Well, no.
I mean, the Tigers, the Wings have to be good again, and maybe we can forget. But.
Yeah, no. If he starts spending on the Tigers now, people will be okay. You screwed up once, okay. Let's get at it.
All right, maybe. Does Xavier Tillman's success surprise you?
No, because I always thought he would maximize who he could be. I mean, he's going to be a role player in the NBA for a decade, and that's who he's going to be. And he's obviously, had a great game the other night, and he has some limitations, but that guy is going to maximize who he can be, and I think we always sort of knew that. And he seems to be pretty sturdy in terms of health and being available, and that's important if you're a role player like him. It does not surprise me.
Next one for maybe. What would you do to fix the damn roads?
Oh,
24. Construction would be going on 24 hours a day.
Boom. It is a service industry in that sense. Like you want it certainly every night.
But those are well-paying jobs, right? And it's at night, so you don't have to be like in the heat. Not many cars out there.
No,
why aren't we doing that?
Well, because it costs money to do that. But
they have money. They have endless fucking money. How much does construction cost? Billions and billions. I don't want to hear about money.
The state doesn't have endless money. It comes from our taxes. But I would elevate those in a way to make it happen so we could actually have the things we needed to have.
Couldn't hire a bunch of guys to go drive around in one of those trucks with the stuff.
I want you to be governor.
I'm just saying, I'm in the back and just drive me. You're telling me people aren't looking for jobs? I would take that job right now. If you got to sit there and you drive around and fix potholes. Just saying. What else are we going to do?
It's not just potholes. It's the major, it's getting stuff. I mean, there are lots of potholes, but it's redoing
October
roads.
Until it gets nice again. No construction. October to probably April. No construction. Shut it all down.
And when you aren't doing construction, and other states do this better, the barrels come off the side of the road.
Yeah.
Do not leave them up when there's no reason for them. And also, if you're doing construction, you have to have signs miles back before people make decisions, letting them know they're going to be screwed, so they can make decisions before they're in traffic. Those sort of things are just.
And I'm not saying I know the answers or anything. Like you're saying, you'd love if I were mayor or governor, but I'm just saying, what is anyone else trying? Are we trying anything?
Well,
I'm not saying my ideas are great, but I feel like people need jobs. Why can't we do 24-hour round-the-clock construction?
I think there's a plan right now, and you see it happening on 496, for example.
All right.
My neighborhood's not doing so much, but that's a city thing. That's the other thing is we often don't know. Like we hear fix the damn roads, and then we're wondering why it's not happening in our neighborhood, but that's not really a state thing. That's a city thing.
And you go down Michigan Avenue, and there's you have to mortar bombs in the middle of the road. So, Couch on Fire next. Things you shouldn't do after age 30. I'll start. Don't obsessively follow and tweet about college recruiting unless you get paid for it. That's valid, I guess.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I know a lot of people still like it, but yes, it's probably a certain age that you shouldn't tweet about it. I mean, people like what they like. Yeah, I'm not gonna knock that. But
make me laugh though.
Yeah, I do. And I'd like to think most people are really defensive about it are younger.
Couch on Fire. Kristen Haney would have been a nice coach for MSU's women's basketball program. Is she too green, pun intended, at this point?
You're just not going to hire somebody from the staff that if you're trying to energize the program, and I'm not saying she couldn't do it, but you're not going to remove or mutually agree to part ways of the previous coach and then hire an assistant on that staff. It's bad form for that assistant, number one. You don't see that happen very often. It's bad form in the coaching business. And she probably, this is a real opportunity for her at Central to sort of, cut her teeth and prove her worth as a head coach. And she may get that sort of opportunity. Now, ideally for MSU, if Robin Fralick has a good run, it'd be quite a while before that job was open again. But
that was an old guy moment today when I saw Kristen Haney get the job. I'm like, I remember when she was like at Mason playing high school hoops, It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, but that was not that long after you were in high school, though.
I know, it makes me feel old, though.
Yeah.
Like when players you watch a long time ago are getting, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Sorry, I tried adding something to women's basketball talk, and that's what you get. Couch on fire. If 2 quarterbacks means you have none, what is 3?
-1, right? No, I think it's a fair question. I mean, I think you have to make sure. There are 2 ways to look at it. You either know you have a decent floor, and you just got to make the right decision here, or you're right that you don't have anybody you're really in love with, and all of them have their strengths and flaws, and you got to kind of try to figure out what's best for the roster you have. And I'm guessing that's where Michigan State is. And it's not that they don't have, like Payton Hauser may have all the upside in the world, but he's a redshirt freshman. And very rarely are those guys really ready for everything that's thrown at them. Occasionally there are, but usually not. Usually you're a much different quarterback in year 3 and 4 in college if you run in any sort of complex offense. Payton Thorne may indeed have a ceiling that's going to frustrate some people. Noah Kim may have a lot of tools, but maybe a guy who makes him, those are things you don't know. The thing I think they have to feel decent about is they're in a better spot for the quarterback position than they were, say, 2 years ago. And it wound up being okay with Payton Thorne, but it was a little dicey on whether they were going to have a guy.
Matt Venny next. The football team shows overall improvement next year, but there are still questionable game and time management situations by Mel and the coaches. What should the appropriate response from the fans be? Put everyone on the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, I think
fired up that hot seat.
So, but the thing is, he's saying they show overall improvement. So that's the problem. Is if you see like, okay, this is headed in the right direction from a development standpoint and talent standpoint, and yet there's some concern there. I think the reaction should be that if you want Mel Tucker to add to his staff somebody to help with that stuff, if that's an issue for him.
I'm talking about Mel himself as well with the time management stuff. I mean, if it's embarrassing like some of these other coaches that can't figure out timeouts before half and in the fourth quarter, I mean, it is concerning.
But people said that about Andy Reid, and then he won a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always
1-2.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not always.
Still took him a while.
It did.
Great Philly teams.
He mismanaged the clock all the time.
He did.
I mean, would have been earlier.
Don't make me call Harry.
Yeah.
Matt Venny, what's more likely to end the Payton Hauser hype, Sam Levitt enrolling in the fall, or a 2024 quarterback pledge?
Yeah, you just need the next guy, right? Just the next dude. Damian Terry 2.0. I mean, yeah, it's all like Payton Hauser's been more than before, and I think it's a perfect storm of a guy who committed and was on the roster at a time that they were struggling at the position. He's obviously got a lot of talent. I blame Colton Pouncey a little bit. My friend Colton went out there and did a piece on him and built him up. And, if Payton Hauser wasn't in a camp that was near where Colton's brother and sister live or whatever, maybe that hype never happened. No, I'm kidding. But it was there's natural hype. Hype happens, and what you ultimately need is a little bit of dose of reality that it takes even good quarterbacks usually time. In almost anybody who's had hype, you go back to the Van Dyke kid in 98 or whatever, Ryan Van Dyke at Michigan State. Everybody wanted to see. Then you see the freshman, you're like, oh, he's going to need time, right? It just Jeff Smoker comes in as a freshman. Freshman's in. People are excited. Mostly running the option and doing stuff. He was rather limited as a passer, became a prolific passer later. It's natural for a kid to need time. So I think what happened in terms of him not having a great day on the day that the public was watching, and he may have had a lot of other better days, but I think that was healthy for him because whatever he does now will happen a little bit under the radar, and that's better than it was. I mean, the hype is not helpful for a kid unless they're truly ready for it, and I don't know that he is.
Rompus Dillashaw next. During the MSU spring game, it was mentioned that it is formatted to mirror the pros, but does that matter when championship teams like Georgia don't do it that way?
I don't know what that means, mirror to fit the pros, like in terms of practice or and I mean, I've heard that before. I think they should either do away with the spring game or do it differently. We don't need to be there. But if you're just going to do about, not even a full scrimmage.
But it can be a fun thing. If the weather's nice, you allow tailgating, you do something other than watching guys stretch and shit. I think you could. You don't have to get rid of it.
And I think you could do a spring game that isn't, like, I do agree that, like, splitting up your team is not the most helpful thing. One of the things that drives me nuts about a traditional spring game is you get no feel for the offensive line. When the offensive line is split up, so the guy who's playing center is not next to the guy who's going to be playing guard with him in the fall, but he's next to some second string guy, and you don't get any continuity up there. You don't get any feel for the line in those games.
Would Central want to come play just I don't know how you do it, right? Because you don't want guys to get hurt. But I'm saying if you have Central versus Michigan State in a spring game with tailgate, like, holy shit.
You'd have to charge
nice
for
day?
it. Yeah, you'd have to charge for it to make it worth it.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What do you want to charge? $7?
I just think you play a scrimmage where it's offense versus defense, and you use some different type of scoring. But it's not, it's not splitting up your offense. It's just offense versus defense. Every time the defense gets a stop, they get this many points or whatever it is. Do something like that so it still looks like football, but you're not splitting up your top offense and your top defense, and you're able to take a look at more guys in a real setting. That is the way I would do it if I wanted to keep it.
Rompus, if Dantonio retired after the college football playoff year and Mel Tucker didn't need to start it over, where would the program be now?
Well, I mean, here's the thing: does Mel Tucker get hired then? And who? But let's compress time a little bit and say there weren't the years in between. And Mel Tucker, who he was in 2020, comes in 2016. I do think there would be the program may be in a very different place. Now, they were going to go through a leadership vacuum for a year. And the hard thing that would have been for any coach, and I don't know that everything would have went wrong, but, obviously Austin Robertson was not a smart guy to take. And if Dantonio knew he was retiring, maybe he doesn't take him, and that helps. But you don't want to be the new coach when all the shit hits the fan like it did. But I don't know that it would have. That would have been interesting. If he had retired after 2017. I think the year when they get back, they have that 3-9 year, and then they have that bounce back season to a degree. I think if it even happens then, it's a very different process than coming in 2000 after even one more recruiting class in 2020.
Paul E. Show next. With NIL and the transfer portal, the emphasis on staying at a university to develop is disappearing. Will coaches be less motivated to invest time in developing a player? And as a result, do you think that there will be a decline in the quality of coaches?
So there's already a little of this. I mean, this goes back to the grad transfer thing. Like at a mid-major in basketball, you know what they don't do? They don't redshirt kids anymore. So a kid who may have developed into something after being a fifth-year senior and gotten his best pro opportunities because of that, he doesn't do that because if they redshirt him, it might be best for the kid, but you know what he's going to do when he graduates in 4 years and he's still got 1 year left of eligibility and he's really good? He's going to transfer as a grad transfer. So they don't do that. So the incentive to do what's best for the kid in that sense, develop what's best for the kid, is already gone. And in certain places, and that's a shame. But that's what people want, so that's what they get. And I think it's hard for coaches who are, in a results-driven business in a world now where kids can jump and leave at any point, to really sit and develop a kid. I think one of the appeals of a guy like Carson Cooper was, and he didn't wind up redshirting, but he was a kid who really wanted to be at Michigan State, and they found him late, and he was willing to develop. And they thought this is sort of the antithesis of everything else that's going on. And I think, we talk about Jaden Akins and some of the how happy is he that Tyson Walker's coming back or whatever. But Jaden Akins is a kid from a very early age who wanted to be at MSU. And I think one of the things that is more important, and coaches have said this all the time, and it usually happens when they lose out on big recruits. They'll say, we want kids who want to be here. But that's more important than ever. If you have kids who are local or have tied to your university or have for whatever reason want to be part of things, those are kids you want to value even more than ever. And I think less than ever, you want to recruit I'm not saying you don't go after a Jackson Kohler is not from your area, especially if you got a reputation like Izzo. It's more of a national renowned coach at this point. But when you're recruiting in football or any sport and you're recruiting a lot of Florida, Georgia, wherever, those kids are more likely to leave. They're a long way from home. It's freaking cold up here. I love it, but they don't. And so I think there's a lot of things to consider in terms of how you recruit, how you develop. But I also think I got a little of this from Izzo's last press conference right after the season. You just can't worry about it. You keep recruiting. You keep doing the best you think what's best for your program and the players in it. And some of them are going to leave. And you're just going to have to deal with what is. And occasionally it's going to sting a little bit, but that's the new reality.
Dark Dantonio next. Was Jet Howard a bad player fit for Michigan's team makeup, or was Juwan just the wrong coach for him? It's a good question.
It is a really good question. I think both a little bit because, and I don't mean to Graham Stout it, but
I don't know.
No, but I think for a couple things. One, they did not have, like if they had veteran guards, like if he had come in the MSU's team where you have a senior in Tyson Walker and you're a little older, where guys would have been like, and this doesn't, you've got to cut out. You've got to do that. You've got to be held accountable. Like he would have been a little more held accountable. It wouldn't have worked as well. He was in a younger team where he was always going to play because he's got talent. It was his dad's program, and his dad was absolutely the wrong coach for him if he was unwilling to instill those things, which apparently he was, and let him get away with being a shit defender and not boxing out and those sort of things, which I'm surprised. I thought, it would have done him better and it would have done the whole team better. And maybe there's stuff behind the scenes we don't see, but if Juwan Howard had said, you're sitting for a while, you have to cut out on a free throw. You have to do this. You have to defend. This is the way to play, and he didn't.
But let's say Steven Izzo was really good, and he did some shit like that. Izzo would have yanked him in 2 seconds, right?
Oh, yeah. He would have taken his jersey and sent him to the locker room.
Right.
And that sort of accountability, and the players want that. Now, Aaron Henry is the great, most recent example of this. Because you go back to his freshman year and that Bradley NCAA tournament game that everybody was all up in arms the way Izzo went at him, but that's what he was trying to get out of him. And then in his very last game, in his last thing he doesn't cut out on a free throw against UCLA. So they never completely got it out of him. Now, that said, that year he did a lot of things to help that team squeak into the tournament, and it turned himself into a much better player in a lot of ways. But there are certain things you don't. But they tried to hold him accountable all the way through, and even when it looked unpleasant, and it just didn't seem to happen for Michigan.
Don't coach my team.
Next one from Dark. I would never watch, but Graham, are you excited for that new girl? It is now on Peacock.
I am. So
Peacock?
I saw this tonight. My wife and I were co-presenting, as we like to do in the living room when we're working.
What?
Co-present. To co-present? Like it's...
What the fuck? You can't just sit in a room? It's got to be a term or something?
Well, she'll just say, do you mind if I co-present with you?
Oh, no.
Yeah, why not? Why won't you say that?
What? Do you mind if I co-present with you?
It's very
okay
endearing the way she says it. But yeah, she'd worked all day, and I made us some food, and we were gonna, while I was doing the Twitter question, she was doing some work on the couch, and we usually have a show on in the background or something, and I was gonna put New Girl on, but I realized it wasn't on Netflix anymore. And I was like, oh shit, and I saw this, and so
can I co-present with you?
Yeah, that's what we do. But yeah, I am excited. I'm excited it's on Peacock.
What a different life, man. Next one from Dark. Jason, of these 6, who is your favorite and least favorite? Alice in Chains, Nirvana, STP, Pumpkins, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden. Got to be Pearl Jam least favorite, right? No, Pearl Jam would be 1. And I got to say, Nirvana in this list would be last, I think.
Really?
Pearl Jam, STP, Smashing Pumpkins, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Nirvana. I still like all the bands. Just, put them in order for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Next from Dark. Do you think you and Solari are disliked by some in the MSU world? Neither of you are biased towards the team, especially Solari.
Especially Solari. What does that mean? A subtle dig at me there.
Because you're a fan, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
So I'm sure there are some people who don't, and I can tell occasionally there are. Every once in a while, I get like somebody who says something snarky about something I write or jumps on some narrative about me, and then I look and they don't follow me. And I'm not saying you have to follow me. Like, nobody has to follow me. And there are lots of reasons to dislike me. But I always find it a little suspect when, like, an MSU fan 10 years in doesn't even follow me on Twitter. Like,
because he hates your face. He just likes your columns, maybe. I don't know. As long as they read it, I think that would be the goal.
I don't think they do, though.
See, then I can't,
Yeah, then I don't. And Solari does. Solari definitely pokes the bear with fans sometimes, and probably says things that get under their skin. But he means well. But the things that irritate Solari irritate Solari more than they irritate me, if that makes sense. And so
people or stuff,
just
things?
People.
Yeah.
People irritate Solari more than they irritate me.
And I agree with him on some people. Yeah. Jordan Bunt next. Thinking ahead to the first MSU football game of the season, do you think it'll be moved to Friday again? I have a wedding to go to on that Saturday.
I think you're going to be in good shape. I don't know this 100% and can't confirm it and don't want to put the cart before the horse.
Heard it there, Jordan. He's guaranteeing to be on a Friday.
I didn't say that, but I think you're going to be okay. I think I would not be worried about your wedding.
Congrats on having a game on Friday. So says Grant.
I didn't promise anything. I'm just saying
100% guarantee. Money back.
No, that's not what we're doing.
Professor next. Who has more pressure next season, Mel Tucker or Tom Izzo? Tuck.
Well, it's different types of pressure. I would say. So their pressures are. Mel Tucker needs to have a season that looks coherent and on the rise, right? And Tom Izzo, people want a season, and rightfully so, that's in contention. So there are different sort of expectations and floors and what people want. But the pressure to reach those two things, you could argue, is similar. Where I would say you're right on Tucker is, like, to me, Tom Izzo has, like, so let's say Tom Izzo, next year's team loses in the second round of the NCAA tournament and gets upset by somebody. The year after that, you look at their roster, you're like, well, that's still pretty. I mean, there's just no consequence to it. It's not like there's pressure on Izzo, like, oh my God, let's get rid of Izzo. That's not going to happen. And the team the year after that looks like it could be really good too. So I think it's definitely on Mel Tucker now, but I think to what level is different. And if Mel Tucker has a season where things look like it's not even about wins and losses, to a certain degree it is, but it's more about what it looks like. It's, he's got some young guys that look like they're on the rise. That was a real competitive game against a top team. Like, think of how you'll feel if they play Ohio State for the first time competitively. And they don't have to win that game, but they haven't done it yet. That would be major progress. So they could have a season that goes 6-6. But if they go into Columbus and in November, they look like a team that's growing into themselves a little bit and they put up a fight. That's the sort of stuff that all of a sudden you go, hey, and that can change the mood of everything.
What's
right?
a fight, though?
It's a game,
touchdown loss?
It's a game. It's a game that's not decided until like late third quarter at least.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like a game that's if that were to happen, I think people would say, well, that's something we haven't seen. Like, I think so. Just what you see is different.
Should that be the slogan next year? On the rise.
Or, whoa, I haven't seen that before.
Professor, who is MSU's leading passer, rusher, receiver next year? Leading tackler, sacks, interceptions.
It's a lot of guesses.
Punts.
Yeah.
Longest punt.
I don't know on all of them. I mean, you got to. I have no idea, to be honest with you. I do think if I had to guess, Payton Thorne starts the year at quarterback. If my guess is, though, also it's very likely that it's not a one quarterback year. That at some point other guys play. But if I had to guess by the end of the year, if it's split a little or something, that Payton Thorne still has the most passing yards, could be totally wrong. I do like the Carter kid, the transfer from UConn. Out of the little things I've heard and seen. But, again, that stuff sorts itself out real quick. All of a sudden you see a guy on game day as a rusher, and you're like, that guy looks a little different, and he's more productive. And we just don't know. Receiver, I think it's most likely to be Keon Coleman, at least as their biggest threat. It's also possible somebody else is a has more catches underneath or other things, but it should be Keon Coleman. Cal Halladay is, a guy who's a tackling machine in a certain way. You have to think if he is healthy and plays a large role, he'll have a chance to do that. I do think there's more depth at his position, so he's going to have to perform well, but I would think that it would be him. And sacks and INTs, I just don't know.
DMB next. How would Couch and the Rube have handled the MSU quarterback situation last year? Seems foolish to play hurt Thorne and not get Hauser and Kim playing time or development. The fan perception of the program is completely shifted if that happens. It also gives a clearer picture of what each can do.
So I think part of it, though, was, I'm sure Thorne wanted to stay in the game. You don't want to get Wally pipped, and there's that fear, and it's your job, and you want to be the guy. But I also think that the shit they were going through last year, I'm pretty sure Hauser probably wasn't ready for as a true freshman. Now, you could play him up to 4 games and not burn that redshirt year, so maybe you do that. Kim, I think that's what it was. I think they thought what they had in Thorne was better than where they were with the other guys. And I don't think that'll be the case this year if Thorne were to struggle to the same degree. So I think that's different. But I think, sure, the fan perception will be different, but if it ruined Kim, if Noah Kim lost his confidence or got beat up or threw a lot of interceptions and sort of, I don't know. I think they thought what was best to try, and they were trying to squeak out wins too. They're not trying to do this, they were in a fight to try to get to a bowl game all the way to the end and eke out wins, and I think they just thought Thorne gave them the best chance to win.
Ken Chu next. What would we think about MSU football going into the season if they had gone 8-4 last year?
Well, you'd think differently.
But how bad were those 4 losses, though?
Yeah, did they overachieve getting in it? What did they look like? Did they win despite?
I know we say things? That, but
if they were 8-4 last year, I do think that the perception would be like, can they get back to 11-2?
How'd they look in a bowl game?
Yeah, and just how solid. Again, there are lots of ways to get to 8-4, and one of the things is, like, I'll give you I use this team a lot, but the team in '98, when I was like 18 years old, when Plaxico Burress is a sophomore and Cedric Irvin's on that team, and they go 6-6. They don't even make a bowl game. Maybe 6-5. I can't even remember. 6-5. But they beat Ohio State, number 1 ranked team in the country on the road, and they already had dudes. And the next year they were really good. Like, are you that kind of team? Are you the team like 2010, which maximized who you were, but never had that in you? And that and how do you do when you face the big boys? Do you look like you belong on the field? And so I think that would also have contributed to it.
Bo McJunkins next. How was MSU not recruiting better at running back with guys like Le'Veon Bell, Javon Ringer, and Kenneth Walker in recent history?
Well, let's see what they are.
O-line?
Yeah, I think that's it, though. I think you're onto something. It's a place where they've struggled to run the football. And I don't think it's been all running backs, though.
You have to be Kenneth Walker back there to actually get a 1,000-yard season, though.
And that was one of their best line. That's maybe their best line they've had since 2015 or maybe 16. Even when they were bad, there were some things they did okay up front.
Again, we worry about the quarterback. I'm worried about the O-line first and foremost. It doesn't matter who you put back there.
That is the area they have to, because the thing is, if they ever get that thing going again. And they weren't even great a lot under Dantonio, but they were, in 2015, when they were healthy, they were really, really good. Like, if they could get that thing to be a strength of the program and part of the identity of the program, it would change a lot.
Next one from Bo. Are the Payton Hauser media conspiracy theories 1,000 times worse than Damian Terry? I'm rooting for this kid, but it's getting insufferable.
There's no doubt that some of it is, there's no doubt that some of the push for Payton Hauser is annoying. It's like, because it's not based on anything, and it's based on this, and maybe the youth that want, the age of the people wants it, that don't remember Damian Terry, don't remember, the crowd was literally chanting Terry, like it was, what was that, 10 years ago? I think Twitter is different now. Like, there was nothing, Twitter existed, but there was nothing called MSU Twitter, like this cult of people who just,
there was blue check marks,
who just push whatever they want, and I'm not saying everybody's like that who's part of MSU Twitter. I think a lot of people they're just fans who want what's best for the program, and a lot of people, rightly so, are curious what this kid can be and want him to be the quarterback because he's the latest with a lot of promise, and that's natural. But it is over the top, and there is stuff that's just not. And the conspiracy theories about look, I mean, there's no question that his, I think it's his quarterback's coach is tweeting on there, today about does he have some ground to make up? Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that I think there's some fears about him transferring. There were probably some people who weren't thrilled with him not getting a full opportunity. But there's also a side of it that is like, and I don't know if there's a self-awareness that people are incredibly annoying. And what happened this week to him last weekend was really good for him. Really good for him. Because if he is who people want him to be, or he has this great summer, the expectations won't be out of this world for him, and he'll be able to come in. If he wins the job, people will look at him like, there's a guy we saw struggle. Oh, my God, he's good. And that's a better place to be coming from than, hey, Joe Montana just showed up, looked great. Oh, wait, he's not great? And then people are frustrated with him. I think what happened to him is the absolute best thing for him, unless he was some guy who was just way ahead of everybody, which he clearly wasn't.
Last one from Bo. Is it hard for people to take a few minutes to look up the fact that Mel held a normal spring game at Colorado? He's not out to kill your traditions. If he held a game and people got hurt, he'd be criticized for holding a game with limited depth. He can't win. Then get rid of it then.
Yeah, I mean,
if that's the case. If you're worried about injuries, don't do it.
I don't need a spring game. The problem is if you don't have and I don't know to what value spring creates some buzz or whatnot. I mean, if you eliminate the spring game, my level of pay attention to spring football is probably at about a 0.1. But what do you care about that? All I did was write some column about the quarterbacks. I don't even think what I wrote riled people up because I can't even imagine what I wrote pissed people off. Or sometimes I feel like what I wrote is what's driving some of this, but I don't think that's it because what I wrote was pretty freaking level-headed. But what's interesting to me is we talk about football school, basketball school. I will tell you this. The column I wrote off the spring game on the quarterbacks did more readers than anything I wrote on the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, some of those were really well read. So, not by
step your game up in March, Couch.
Well, yeah, I suck. I do suck at basketball. But what I mean also is like what I'm saying is people care. It sometimes when you think they don't, and people care about this quarterback situation.
Travis Maynard next. Hell yeah, July topic. Graham, along with New Girl, what would be your 3 other 1 seeds in a network sitcom tourney?
I like it.
Brilliant streaming platform shows like Ted Lasso don't qualify.
Oh.
Sorry, Ted.
All right. Well, I mean, we talked about a thing like Seinfeld, but I'm trying to think of long run. Like, it's got to be sitcoms, huh? I mean, if network shows, Chicago PD is there. But if it's got to be because I don't watch a lot of sitcoms anymore. I would say How I Met Your Mother, peak How I Met Your Mother in real time. I haven't watched it since.
Peacock,
but would be one of them. And well, if I could go back to like,
oh my God,
I mean, I loved the show Ed back in like 2002 through 2005 because I loved Julie Bowen, and it was a great show.
Everyone.
Yeah. So
Ed, I remember that show.
Yeah, it was a good show. It was a good show until it jumped the shark. The problem is that was a show that relied on the sexual chemistry and tension, and as soon as they were together, it was like it sucked like instantly, and it was
For
almost
you?
done.
You had to find something new to beat off to.
It was sick. I was trying to sitcoms. I mean, Seinfeld is, all time. If I'm just flipping through channels, Seinfeld, Frasier, those sort of shows are like as good as it gets.
The Equalizer,
which I still don't think is real.
55 million people can't be wrong.
And then New Girl, of course.
Travis Maynard, basketball July topic. The addition of USC and UCLA threatens to worsen an already lopsided SOS for big teams. What changes would you propose to help even things out across the board? That's Stout on Sports, SOS?
Strength of schedule.
Oh. I was supposed to know that.
Yeah.
All right.
So basketball July topic. So strength of schedule. Well, I mean, UCLA and USC are obviously. Now, I see what you're saying, lopsided because you got too many teams in the league. So how do you make it so if you have 14, they already have 14, if you have 16 teams, 15 other teams, how do you play a schedule where you get the best strength of schedule? And I would love to see something where you played everybody once, and it wouldn't be perfect because some would be home and some would be road. And ideally, if you're going to play USC, you'd also play UCLA that weekend on the road. But in a perfect world, you play the other 15 schools once, and then you sort of break it up into divisions. And at that point, the final 5 games are in almost tiers or something. You know what I mean? Almost like there's some sort of way where you're playing. And the problem is it's hard to schedule that way, and it would never work. But that would be perfect, where you couldn't win the league if you weren't in the top tier. That was automatic. You had to be in the top tier to win the league at that point. And the teams you were going to play were all in the other top 5 teams. And now you're getting a second shot at all really good teams. Build your strength of schedule. You're playing good teams down the stretch, and you've got a chance to win the league. I would want something like that, but I don't know what the actual solution is.
Steve, with this one, I asked ChatGPT the worst Tigers free agent signings. 1, Dontrelle Willis. 2, Joe Nathan. 3, Prince Fielder. 4, Justin Upton. 5, Jordan Zimmerman. Ooh, I have Javi Baez in the top 5. Is Al Avila smart?
Because none of these guys were. Well, Jordan Zimmerman, was he an Al Avila guy?
I don't know. He was complete. He would move up on the list for me. Joe Nathan actually gave the middle finger to fans, so fuck him. He's number 1. I love Dontrelle, but yeah, it was an abortion.
But Dontrelle Willis was part of a trade that brought you Miguel Cabrera. So
it still was a bummer because you got Dontrelle and saw what he did with Florida, and you were like, I love Dontrelle.
But as Jim Leland said about Cabrera, as he said, I would have taken,
Graham Couch.
About trading the guys that they got rid of. He said I would have Andrew Miller and was the other guy, the outfielder. The outfielder.
Cameron Maybin.
No, you actually helped me out for once.
Actually, I was saying that because I think it's wrong.
No, you're right. It was Maybin and Andrew Miller. He goes, I would have traded those 2 motherfuckers and a bunch more motherfuckers for that one motherfucker. And that's like an exact quote just about from
with inhales in there.
Yeah, and in other words, he knew Cabrera was that good. Now, we are almost on the 15-year anniversary of a day that I wish I had already discovered the Firekeeper's iCasino and Sportsbook app, by the way. 15 years ago, I think it was July 9th, 2008, I'm covering the Tigers. I'm the backup beat writer for Booth Newspapers. And all the other writers are telling me, like, this is going to be it was the final game for Dontrelle Willis as a Tiger. Everybody there knew it was going to be a disaster for him. Everybody there. And I didn't, partly for ethical reasons, and I didn't bet on it. Like, I didn't get it. Everybody there knew it was a disaster. And to this day, it's one of those things I wish I had just put, like, as much money as I could possibly find on that game betting against Dontrelle Willis, who had a total meltdown, as everybody apparently in the press box knew was coming. I was not there day in and day out, and I'd been there a little bit. It wasn't like my first series of the year or anything, but to this day, July 9th, 2008, lives in infamy. Would have won that money back from the
hashtag never forget
Derrick Rose, Mario Chalmers bit. A story almost worth telling again, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company. And by the way, Midtown Brewing Company, if you are looking for a place to hold a graduation, brunch, lunch, dinner, something like that, you can do that at Midtown Brewing Company. It's a great spot for that. The vibe fits it. You can call for reservations, 517-977-1349. Reserve your graduation party today at Midtown Brewing Company. And speaking of graduations, Groovy Donuts will do specialty donuts for you, all sorts of things. So whatever your mascot is of your high school or college, or you want the face of your favorite teacher in detail, Monica will do that too. Whatever it is, a specialty donut, go to groovydonuts.com and order your donuts today for your graduation party or whatever is coming up.
Ryan Rockwell next. Which daily Tigers bet do I make? Money, run line, under? Make it easy for me. I'll stick with it. And from NWA, this Tigers bet is hot garbage. They're going to end up winning the division and making it to the ALCS. Or maybe I'm just frustrated because I've lost 5 bets in a row on them.
Okay, a lot here. Yeah.
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Coques and Jason Nick.
So, couple things. One, my general rule, and Jason, I don't know if you follow this rule of the Tigers, but my thing is if the bet is like, if the line is like minus 150 or less, so it's minus 140, minus 130, even money, whatever it is, then I take the money line. If it's way up there, if it's like 170 or something, minus 170 or more, then I take the run line. I don't know. Do you have a play for what you do in the Tigers?
It depends on obviously who they're playing, the pitching staff, all that stuff. But a lot of the times, I just take the plus
1.5,
one and a hook,
or
minus one and a hook, and throw it in some parlays if I think one of the Tigers pitchers is going to get beat up or.
Yeah. So,
but it's been hard as of late to figure that out. So I've been going money line a couple times.
I would just pick it and be consistent. I hate losing by the run line. It's frustrating as hell. So anything under 150, I do the money line usually.
And if it goes to extra innings with the base runner on second, you get F'd. And
the worst one is too. I wish for gambling purposes the home team had to hit in the bottom of the ninth, even if they were ahead. You're still playing for the rest of us, man. Game ain't over.
I would love to see you pitch that to the baseball committee.
So I like to play the money line. So we're playing the same sport that they are. So that would be my best advice. Minus 150 or less to play the money line. Anything more, play the run line. I'm with you. NWA though on it has not gone well. I think though, again, as I brought up, I think this is April 2020. You don't want to pull the money from the stock market now. So let's just let's hang in there for a little bit and
on the road in Baltimore.
I love that he says they're going to end up winning the ALCS. Like, would you trade that though for like if we were going to lose a couple $1,000 this year doing this, but they wound up in the ALCS? Would you be satisfied or no?
I mean, it's not possible, so
yeah,
I can say whatever, right?
I
would still be pissed at the $2,000, but yeah. Do we have a shot to win anything?
But and we would pull out before that. I think we would see. We're like, all right, we're going to bet the other way.
You always pull out. Ryan Rockwell, why did so many injuries from the 2022 football season stem from Game 1 against a non-conference opponent?
Yeah, bad luck. I mean, it was the big two, obviously, were Xavier Henderson. I mean, what happened to Thorne was important, too, and what happened to Henderson and Darius Snow. It was a game-changing deal, and that could happen against everybody. Non-conference has nothing to do with it. Now, it may not be as physical a game as it is when you play Michigan or a team in the Big Ten, but I also it's still Division I college football and shit happens.
Ryan, last one from him. Is Hazleton planning to keep the 4-2-5 defense this season? I hope not.
Yeah, I think they'll be a little more flexible in things. So I think that's you are going to see more 3 linebackers out there. I think not having they want guys that can be hybrids. They want guys that can play multiple positions or are versatile, and that's what they're trying to recruit to. So you won't even know it really because you'll have guys that can play linebacker and safety, and it's a little different is what they're ultimately hoping to go to. Let's take a really quick break. We'll come back. More of your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Firekeepers Casino and iCasino and Sportsbook app.
Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com.
Christmas is around the corner and beautiful jewelry is on her Christmas list. So where will you go to buy that gorgeous diamond ring or that sparkly diamond necklace or that incredible diamond bracelet? Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage have the largest selection and the latest designs of beautiful jewelry that she's been dreaming of. If an engagement ring is on your mind, come into Meadowar Jewelers and let our professional staff explain to you all about natural and lab-created diamonds. Our diamonds are set by master jewelers whose passion for their art shows so clearly in each and every piece. So, for that perfect gift that's on her Christmas list, come into Meadowars by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage, and we'll help you find it.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis on this 420 day, and also our friends at Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Download the app today. Bet the games we're betting, including against the Tigers every day, and the Premier League games this weekend. This Tigers bet is gonna come around. I feel it. I feel it in my bones.
NWA up next. Last week there was talk of an arena being put down in downtown Lansing. They are doing that here in downtown Kalamazoo. Thoughts, Graham? Because I know Kalamazoo is your favorite place in the world.
Lived there once, by the way. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. It's amazing that it's going to happen. I saw that there was an article posted from the original article about it was in 1998, maybe. It was 25 years since it was proposed. The whole time I was in Kalamazoo, was it going to happen? It's something that, there's the old money there wanted to happen for a while, and they put some really good deals down, and then it didn't. There was an area for it. I was always a little torn because I like cool buildings that are that have a lot of character, and like Western Michigan basketball leaving the old Reed Fieldhouse University Arena. I was like, that sucks. I love that arena. Lawson Ice Arena, very cool place for Western Michigan hockey. But in the facilities arms race in this new world to getting a new arena for those programs, I think the K-Wings will play there as well, is really important. And I think one of the things they wanted to make sure it felt like something that was Western Michigan. Where it is in downtown, though, is close to campus. Shouldn't be that hard for kids to get there. There's a little of that you worry about because downtown, Kalamazoo, where this is in downtown is it's a little bit of a jump, but it's walkable from one side of campus. And I think it's really cool. I think it's needed.
NWA, what is the NBA in-season tournament they are talking about?
Yeah, I think this is kind of silly. Basically, they're trying to bring interest to the NBA in November and December. The problem is we're paying attention to football in November and December still. We're never going to be that interested. And the idea is you would have games that were also regular season games that were also within a round-robin tournament format that was somehow single elimination, but these games would still – and then, you'd have a second title that people would care about. The reason it works in European soccer, and this is what Adam Silver is fascinated with, is because you're playing teams – you don't normally play. If you play in the Champions League or Europa League, you're playing teams from elsewhere in Europe, or you're not playing the teams that, or you play the FA Cup, for example, in England. You're playing smaller clubs from around England who are trying to take their big shot at you. It would be cool if if the top teams in Turkey and Israel and Italy and the top G League teams were all part of this tournament. But they're not going to do that. But that would be more interesting to me than what they're trying to pull off. I don't know. Do you have any interest in this in-season tournament?
Absolutely not. They're ruining the NBA as I loved it. So why are we going to do an in-season tournament?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
To crown a halfway champion?
Yeah, no. And if there was some sort of And I can't remember what they said. If you gave the team that won that an automatic spot in the minimum they were in the play-in, I don't know. If
Guys don't give a shit about that either.
Yeah, no, they don't. Yeah.
Still want money. Steve Beckman, if Payton Thorne had lit up the final spring practice, would he have prevented the quarterback competition from being any less of a story? Seems like fans and the media would have talked about it as much no matter what happened.
Well, it would have been interesting if he was the best of the three by a ways. That would have been interesting because then it would have been like, oh, wait a second. And I think it would have been interesting from the sort of Katin Houser contingent, and I hate saying it like that, like I'm somebody who's not in that contingent. I don't give a rat's ass who wins the job. Now, is there a part of me that do I like Payton Thorne personally? Sure. Would I like to see him have a nice end to his career? Yeah, but I like Noah Kim from getting to know him. I'd like to see that kid get a chance. I don't know Katin Houser that well, but I'd like to see him have a great career too. I'm not in any contingent, any camp for any of this stuff. It would have been interesting, though, to see the reaction from people who, if Thorne had a great spring, because Thorne looked about like Payton Thorne does. He had I think he had one throw that I remember thinking, that's a really nice throw, and a run in the spring game doesn't matter. The biggest news for him was the injury thing, sort of talking about that in detail, and sort of the idea that he looks like he's. My guess is he's still in the driver's seat, even if it's not by much.
Graham texted me during the spring game. He said, "Kim is him."
Exactly.
Send.
Yeah.
Oh. Beckman, how should college basketball fans and media react if UConn replaced MSU in the Champions Classic?
So I haven't seen anything about this. I doubt this would happen for a couple reasons. One, I mean, Izzo is Izzo is part of this. If the Champions Classic at some point may go away because for a while it was a great way of starting the season, and now everything starts on the same night. It's sort of one of the events. It's still pretty cool.
But UConn should be involved with it, right? I mean, in the future. I mean, they are. They won 5 championships.
Right, but they also missed the NCAA tournament like 8 times. All
right.
But yeah, no, you're right.
And their women's program is elite.
But it wasn't picked entirely just on the best teams at the time. North Carolina didn't get in because they're not going to have Duke and North Carolina. Indiana's the blue blood in the Big Ten who just wasn't in good shape. But so Michigan State has the coach with the gravitas. It has the program that's really good a lot of years. Had a couple years where they weren't as great, but supposed to be good next year. I'm
not saying get rid of State by any means, but maybe add UConn and get rid of another team that's in there.
Kansas, Kentucky. No. I mean, Kentucky is not
maybe.
Yeah, but they're not going to happen. It's fine the way it is. I think. And the other thing is, one of the things that they may face UConn next year in the Gavitt games. I just can't believe, as long as the Champions Classic's going, that would happen unless Michigan State had a run to things. Izzo left or MSU had a run where it was like 4 or 5 straight years where they just weren't really in that sort of contention and just looked like they didn't belong there.
Last one from Steve. Who do you think the average NBA fan dislikes more, Draymond Green or Dylan Brooks, and why? I don't know. I can't stand Dylan Brooks.
I can't either.
I like Draymond.
Yeah. So I don't know whether
I think Draymond's a great basketball player. I think Brooks is just a phony that's doing this shit to get – he knows he's like a fringe basketball player, so to get that Pat Beverly kind of shit going.
His shot selection – he does some things that don't help you win all the time. Draymond – the things Draymond does that hurt them are when his antics go too far. But he does a lot of things that make you win. And I love that he plays the mental warfare part of the game. I appreciate the way he plays the game. I love the passing, the screen. I like the way he sees the game, can play it as a point guard. I love trying to get in people's heads. Don't mind any of that. Does he go overboard, do things that are stupid? That he may cost his team this series by – I don't think he should have been suspended, but he didn't help his team in that game. He should understand at this point in his career that I'm more likely to get thrown out. I'm more likely to get suspended. I can't put myself in a position to do that because this is also – you got a limited number of these runs left. I hate the argument, though, that he already cost them 1 championship. Bullshit. No, because he may have cost them the 2016 championship, but Kevin Durant has said he doesn't join them if they win that title. He's not joining a champion. So they get Kevin Durant and win the next 2, and they might have won one of those anyway. But the next 2 with Durant don't happen with Durant if they win that title. So there's lots of ways to look.
Why did Durant say that? If they won in 2016, he wasn't going to.
Yeah, he said he wasn't going to. He wouldn't have joined a champion. He knew that because
they were already a champion when he arrived.
I know, but it made it easier to look like he wasn't quite joining. So that stuff is
seems like he cares now.
Yeah. But to answer that, I would say it's probably mixed because a lot of people don't like Draymond Green. But Dillon Brooks drives me nuts and doesn't help you win as much. And he's a guy he's a guy in his prime who's a pretty good defender right now. But he will not be a guy who ages well in the NBA, I don't think.
Chris Fletcher next. Is Dumars turning out to be Brendan Shanahan 2.0 with that bullshit excuse to suspend Draymond? Shanny also overpunished, 2-game suspension. Justin Abelkader in the 2013 playoffs for a questionable hit. Can sports fans in Michigan love and hate these players turn disciplinarians?
I mean, I will always have an affinity for Dumars because he's a bad boy, and he's of the era which I came of age as a sports fan in this state.
Won a championship in 2004.
Yeah.
Put that team together.
Yep. I mean, I know
ran it into the ground.
I know it didn't go great at the end, but it often doesn't. It often doesn't.
Yeah, but if you win a championship, I just feel as a general manager, I'm not saying you just get to burn it to the ground, but it's like, all right, man, good run.
Yep, and he gets if he had won a second one, I think we'd all feel a little different. They almost won that second one. If he had two,
fell in the wave of Ben Gordon thing. Was that him?
But yeah, and that had something to do with like learning. Yeah, you don't need to use your salary cap money on that shit. I mean, Jesus, that was brutal. That was rough. That was rough.
Kuwabit, longtime listener, first-time Twitter questions for me.
Appreciate you.
Did you see the big news? MSU wins a natty in college dodgeball. How about a little LSJ coverage on MSU's latest natty?
I did see that, and it's possible. We probably should do something. We don't do a lot on club sports though, or like manager games and things like that. It's just a dangerous precedent to set. But that is kind of a cool story. They won in dodgeball, and I didn't even know.
It could be a one-off story.
Oh,
like
absolutely. No, 100%.
Follow
147%. And I knew that they it's fascinating. They've got this great dodgeball team at the club level. I do want to know more about that.
Yeah. Kuwabit, why is Jason called the Rube?
You came up with it.
How long has he been listening? I mean,
well, we haven't talked about it in a while.
I'm a dumb guy that likes sports, and I have a lot of good stories.
But when we were trying
it was, everyone told me, well, you need to put your last name on it. Like Couch and Nick just sounded like complete ass. And Hunter S. Thompson had one of my favorite books, the page 2 column that he had. Hey, Rube, I love that. I don't know. It just fit. Yeah. I said, how about Couch to the Rube? And Graham goes, love it. And that literally, that's what it was. So, yeah. Mojo Jojo. Finish this sentence. If the Lions draft Bijan Robinson at 6, I am.
What are you feeling?
I'm going to drown myself in Jordan's hot tub if they take Bijan. They're not going to.
Yeah. If they took him at 18?
Well, I don't want to kill myself for that, but yeah, I wouldn't be happy.
Running backs early, I don't love.
You and every other team. I mean, when's the last time? I mean, Saquon, right?
And the only
you
thing
don't need to press. I mean, honestly, you could, if you have a good offensive line, look at Jamal Williams. You can plug and play a guy that's decent.
Right. And so the only thing I would say is if there's truly a guy you feel is like generational there,
yes,
then it's worth talking about. And I don't know that guy exists in this. And I know they thought that would like Saquon, and you can argue yes or no on that. What I would say about the Saquon deal, though, is he was drafted at the wrong time. So it's all about timing with a lot of these picks. It's you want to have a running back while they're cheap because you're not going to re-sign them either way. So if you can get the one advantage to a running back is you in the first round is you get them for 5 years instead of 4 on the first year contract. And if this is truly the stretch coming up for the Lions now where they're in contention and these next 5 years are then it makes sense. Like 4 years ago drafting a running back who you have to pay now. I mean, like what's his nuts? The guy who's almost up for a contract who's been
Jerry
injured.
Lewis.
Fuck, damn it. Who's their running back?
Peter Thornburg.
Oh, you fucker. That's,
Jerry Reinsdorf.
DeAndre Swift, thank you.
I was just going to say that.
That was too good. Anyway, like that was the worst pick. And everybody's like, oh, DeAndre, who cares about DeAndre Swift? He's not going to be a Lion. You're not going to pay him. They drafted him at the wrong time. It didn't fit with the timing. You don't draft a running back. If you draft a running back when you're shit during the period of time you're going to be shit, run him to the ground, do whatever. It doesn't matter. He's not part of your future. Never will be. You never pay a running back. I think the last one ever to get paid was
Derrick Henry.
Well, but even he took a much lesser deal. The guy from Dallas. I'm bad today.
Colt McCoy.
Fuck you.
Jerry Reinsdorf. Louis Tiant. Jeremy Fowler. Jeremy Sampson.
He's not even listed among the top running backs in the Dallas Cowboys.
Who? Zeke? Elliott?
Yeah. It's like Emmitt Smith, Tony Dorsett, Calvin Hill. What the hell, man? But Zeke Elliott's the last running back ever to get paid, I think, big money.
But when you watch Zeke, like you said, was he a generational talent at Ohio State? Like Bijan Robinson, he was great at Texas, but when you see it, you know. Like a Derrick Henry who's 6'5", just a moose, and bowling guys over. So, I mean, if you're drafting at 6, I'm saying.
Well, and Saquon, what's his deal now? I mean, he just got paid. So, like, let me see how big that is. Hold on one second. Give me some
Huh? What? What are you looking up over there, Couch?
Oh, I should not have looked that up. Yeah, I just looked up Saquon. How big is it? And it didn't go well. So no, he gets paid $10 million. This must be the end of his rookie deal. He hasn't signed, and so that will be interesting.
Wait, why did we look that up?
Because I wanted to see if he actually got paid. I couldn't remember if he got. So I don't know if you ever pay any of these guys again. Like you just that the problem in a salary cap sport is. Look, if this were baseball and you don't have a salary cap sport, it doesn't matter. Yeah, if you got a great running back, you pay them. And if you spend a little overspend, a big deal. But now it's like a percentage of your team, and you can only afford like 3 big paycheck guys. And, again, that's why Jared Goff has to perform to a certain level to be on the roster.
And watch Devin Singletary this year. That guy's going to be a beast. Mojo Jojo, is MSU the worst-run university from a trustee and president perspective? 7% increase is ridiculous for room and board. During my time in 2009 to 2013, they raised tuition 4% every year while building new cafeterias and athletic buildings with nothing going to enhance the academic experience.
I mean, yeah.
Welcome to college.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, college is a little bit of a scam these days at certain degrees. I mean, you to me, if you're going to charge what they charge, you better bring it in terms of my education. And the fact that student loans are what they are.
Better bring it? Like you have to go study abroad or something? I mean, you better show me a good time here. Well,
yeah, and you better have
academically.
You better have people who really know. I mean, I know Michigan State's a good school, but 7% increase is a lot. Is a fairly big chunk, and but that's just. I mean, yeah,
lawsuits to pay for.
There's it's not. I don't know if it's the worst run from I mean, the trustees have been a shit show without question. The interim president right now, I like a little bit, but they've had some issues, no question.
Mojo Jojo, Graham, if you got a job offer to cover the Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A, etc., do you take it? Just got back from a week in Italy. Amazing how much better the quality of life is over there versus here.
I would.
Wait, is that breaking news? Hold on. It's nicer in Italy than it is in Michigan.
Yeah, village in Italy. I would be inclined to. Here's the thing, though, and as much as I think I would be inclined to do it, one of my favorite things about my soccer obsession that's happened is that it's not my job. That it has nothing to do with it. When I watch college basketball, there's an element of it that's part of what you do. College football, the same. The Premier League is over there. It's like when I go over there as a fan with last summer with my buddy Scott, like we were just sort of, I don't know. It's just different. It's not the world that's work for you. That said, it would intrigue me a little bit. I do enjoy it a lot. I would love to. There's part of me that wishes soccer in this country had a really intense following and readership, and it really just doesn't in terms of American soccer because, like, there's somebody who's aware of the page view metrics everywhere, and like. People don't read about the team in Nashville, the MLS. New team, people seem excited. They go to the games. You know what they don't do? They don't fucking read. They just don't. And so it's just not that. It's one of those things that we don't have yet. This sort of baked in. Everybody, people don't like. We write about the quarterbacks here, and everybody reads about it. But if that was about the left back or the striker, more like it just. People don't read as much.
ZZZ. Kevin Haas. Are the Lions at the point where they can draft the best player available and figure it out from there?
What say you?
I don't think they're at that point, no. Because definitely at 6, if you're going to keep that pick, you want a game changer. But
isn't that the best player available, whatever the position is?
No, because if Will Anderson is there, I would rather them take him at 6. I mean, I don't know if he's probably not going to drop that far, but.
But he's the best player. That's what I'm saying. It's my best player.
Will Anderson? I mean, best fit for the Lions would be Will Anderson, I believe.
Right, but wouldn't he also be the best player likely available?
I don't know.
I mean,
probably.
Yeah. You want difference makers.
But I'm saying he would be on your target list. He wouldn't be just like, well, I guess we'll take Will Anderson.
Yeah, the question is not position-based at all.
I just don't like any of the quarterbacks.
Well,
I just don't want him to go quarterback.
And I don't think they will because the quarterbacks aren't going to be the best players available unless there are two guys who I guess on their draft grades could be up near there, but the other guys are just being pushed up there because they're quarterbacks. Will Levis and Richardson, but those guys suck. I don't even get I see all these columns about them. Guys I like writing columns like, oh, the Colts are going to miss out on maybe Anthony. If you draft Richardson, it's Greg Doyle usually. You draft Richardson and you draft Levis, good luck. You will be in the toilet forever. Forever.
Wow. Gavin Haas, are the Lions at the point where I read that. If the Pistons get pick number 2, do you draft Scoot Henderson and try to play Ivy, Cunningham, and Scoot together, or do you just take Brandon Miller?
I would take Brandon Miller. I mean, a lot of people love Scoot. I don't know. I would be inclined to take Miller.
I don't know. I know we've talked about it, but that NCAA tournament he had and just the dumb decision to take that guy the gun. And
it's not great.
Just
it's not perfect.
Get guys like that away from my team. I don't want it.
Yeah. And maybe you just do Scoot, Ivy, and Cunningham and see how it works. And at this point, you're trying to draft stars still. I would be very inclined to take Miller.
Next one from Gavin. What's an honest record in prediction game by game for MSU football post spring practice?
So I don't think it was like a bad like I didn't leave the spring thinking worse about MSU than I did going in. And, not with the quarterback situation, not with anything I saw. I think that there's probably a little more depth than I thought. So I think they'll beat Western. Let's start there. Central. I think they'll beat Richmond. Those are 2 home games. They ought to win those games. If they don't, there'll be some serious hot take Sunday night shows here. Washington is fascinating. It's a home game. They'll take them seriously. They remember that game the other way. I think they got a really good chance to beat Washington. I think Maryland's going to be a little bit of a doozy, but it's at home. I think there's a real chance. Rutgers on the road. I would guess 4-2 out of that first bit. 5-3 after that next. Boy, Nebraska home house. I would say 7-5, maybe 7-5 would be my pick for next year.
Plus size softball dad next. By winning 2 shows in a row, have I become the dog that caught the car? Have I peaked? Is it all downhill from here? Is it my fault that Hamp-Faye's mom will never return to East Lansing? What do I have to look forward to now?
Wherever he transfers to, you could follow them. But you've definitely peaked. That's outstanding to be the winner 2 weeks in a row. It's softball season. This is your time, man. Grab it. This is everything, recreationally and softball season. I don't know. By the way, I didn't really answer Gavin's question fully. Like teams, I think they'll lose to. I think they got to. If I had a hunch, my gut would say, and I have no idea what Washington will be. They beat Washington, but they lose to either on the road at Iowa, on the road at Rutgers, home at Maryland. They're going to lose one of those games. Hard to pick them to beat Michigan, but we've seen that happen at home. What Minnesota is going to be, I find that very interesting. At Ohio State, you can't pick them there. Penn State, end of the year, if that team is in good shape, I think that'll be a real competitive game. Indiana, where is that program going to be? I think they should win that. But, I can see anywhere from I find it hard to find more than 8 wins, best case scenario. But again, so much changes. What we think we know is based on what we just saw when we're talking about other teams, and we don't have a real feel. At some point, I keep thinking Maryland's going to turn a corner, maybe Rutgers too, which would be a lot for the East Division, although I don't know if the divisions will exist after this year, but that could be this year.
Any games that could go either way? Or?
They could all go either way.
Okay. Yeah. Andrew Gauthier, best case and worst case scenario for MSU hoops next year.
The good news for Michigan State is, even if they have some injuries, they should have the depth to withstand most of it. Obviously there are key spots where it would hurt, but AJ Hoggard goes down, you still should be okay at point guard. there are places that, you should have enough guys at center to get by. Although, on the wing, I think Jaden Akins losing a guy like that would hurt. But maybe Cohen Carr defensively is ready, and you're able to, worst case scenario is they're a team that doesn't somehow maximize who they are from a pound-for-pound perspective like the 2017-18 team. And Izzo doesn't do that right and doesn't figure out the minutes and plays too many big guys here, doesn't get the best group on the floor, never finds that mix that needs to be the end-of-game group. And that team winds up like 13-7, 14-6 in the Big Ten. You always want a little more. Best case scenario is they're a team that overwhelms people.
Next one from Andrew. Outline a realistic scenario for MSU football reaching at least 8 wins this year. Can't be the other teams suck.
Well, yeah, I think they can beat Washington. You could, if you told me right now Michigan State football started 4-0 and they beat Maryland at home. They have they have all 4 at home. I would believe you. And they could absolutely go to Iowa and Rutgers and split and be 5-1 home against Michigan. Split against Michigan and Minnesota. They're 4 games of the year, and that's Nebraska, Ohio State, Indiana, and Penn State, and you could win 2 of those. And Nebraska's at home, and Indiana's on the road, and Penn State. You gotta there's a way to get to 8 wins. They're just gonna have to be they're gonna have to everything break right to get there, or they're gonna have to be better than I realized, which is also possible.
Andrew, did anyone else get an extremely loud emergency test on their iPhone at like 4:30 a.m.? WTF.
You get this?
I didn't, but I did read something this morning about the state of Florida did have an emergency test. And I know Andrew has Florida ties.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't know if his number is a Florida number or whatever, but yeah. They said people were pissed off because they got it in Florida. Well, but I didn't get anything.
And I think he was visiting in Florida this week. And I don't want to tell people when he was out of town, but I don't know if he was.
Don't do that.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't
break into their house. Didn't
mean to break into Groovy Donuts and steal all the donuts. And Andrew's away. Otherwise, I would blame Eastlick. But I think this might have been an out of state deal.
Yeah, Matt C. Don't ask me how I read that shit today. But anyway, Matt C. Is Jaren Jackson Jr.
just searching Pornhub and it came up accidentally or something?
Yeah, it's one of those pop-up ads. Matt C. Is Jaren Jackson Jr. Izzo's biggest failure as a coach? Underutilized on offense, benched in a critical tournament game for a scrub with a bionic leg.
No, I don't think so, because Jaren Jackson Jr., he is an example of the problem with the way – I should say the problem, but the challenge with living on 5-star big men sometimes who are in their developmental year. Like, he was really good. He was unbelievable as a defensive presence in certain ways. He was also still figuring out who he was as a player. And did they, I still don't think he was the answer in that game against Syracuse. They tried him. He just hadn't developed to that point yet. And they got the developmental year out of him. And if he had come back for another year, it would have been a lot better for him. That's the downside of the one and dones sometimes is what you get. You don't get the stardom out of them. You get the development. The guy is Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA who speaks incredibly highly about Izzo as a coach. Like, I just don't see how that's a failure.
Matt C., why does Graham hate shirts versus skins pickup ball? Insecurity coming through, Couch?
I actually, right now I don't love being skins, but I actually would rather be skins. I don't want to be guarding skins. It's disgusting. It's unsanitary. It's disgusting. And also when I need to hold on to your shirt when you're trying to get away from me, I there's nothing to hold on to. But it's absolutely disgusting. It's slimy. It's just disgusting.
But you still get on your forearm sweat, and you sweat through your shirt, which is almost as gross.
It's different when
at least if you don't have a shirt on, it's not catching the sweat, so it's all going to the ground. Hopefully,
no, it slimes right on. It's the worst. It's the absolute. It should not be allowed. It's
when you wear a sweater. How much sweat do you got going on here?
I sweat a lot. If I play an hour of pickup basketball, I wear 3 shirts
at the same time.
No,
peel one off.
Change them, yeah.
Jaren,
and I do that out of respect, by the way, for my opponent, that they don't have to deal with like a soaking, sopping wet shirt.
I love how you talk about it so seriously. My opponent, Jaren Scoggins. Expectations for MSU's hockey team next season. The transfers make me think that they could compete for the Big Ten title, but I don't know how much hockey, by the way. Jason, it's Scoggins, not Scroggins. Common mistake.
I probably actually.
Sorry, Jaron.
I write these in. I probably wrote in Scroggins last week, and so probably set him up for failure.
Sorry,
dude. Yeah, I mean, I think they've gotten some guys that have been eye opening in terms of transfers, and they lost a number of dudes, and I'm going to try and sit down with Adam Nightingale in the next week or so and talk to him about the state of things in the program. I do know this from a conversation I had with him at the Robin Freilich introductory press conference, that there are guys they're getting now because of the year they had. They were having trouble, stirring up interest a year ago in this sort of, and the guys now saw how some of the transfers, some of the years they had, some of the guys that came back, some of the guys who developed from off the radar and are getting opportunities. So there is definite momentum with transfers who are much more inclined to be part of the program than a year ago.
Sparty Ben, if MSU's team is healthy next year, does Izzo need to make the Final Four? Yes.
It would be a disappointment not to, but need to is no, right? I mean, I think the year after that they have just as good a chance maybe, and you just, I mean, it is right? You're not going to.
Let's go through the schedule.
Let's do it one
game by game,
which isn't out yet, which saved us tonight.
Make it up. Make up the schedule.
Just do a fake schedule.
Tell me Game 7 right now.
Okay.
Sparty Ben, are the Tigers going to win 100 games now? No.
I still think there's a chance they'd lose 100. I still think they could get there.
I think so.
The over-under bet's not completely out of the picture now at like 69.5, but like I still think there's a real chance they still lose 100.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're wrong.
Do you?
Yeah, because, I mean, I would like to see some competitive. I don't want to be a shit show. I would rather be competitive, I guess. I don't know. I just want to see some good baseball, not this bullshit that started the season where they couldn't hit.
I don't know. Am I financially invested? I want them to lose.
I know, but deep down. Sparty Ben. Have you guys tried Cane's in East Lansing yet? It's so good.
Raising Cane's, I think he's talking about. I have not tried it yet.
That's the chicken tender place, right?
Yeah.
Man, I need to.
Yeah.
I know I'll love it. Eastlick, Chris Eastlick. Boo on this guy, huh? Is there anything that could be shared on A.J. Kirk, a mystery man his entire time after being thought of as a diamond in the rough?
I don't. I saw that, he's in the transfer portal. He's a guy out of that Zoom baby class that, a lot of those guys have left, about half of them, it seems. And that was a class that was always going to be difficult to recruit because they didn't bring any of them on campus. It was in the middle of COVID. It was his first class there. But, and he's not been anywhere. Yeah, I mean, at one point he's a diamond in the rough. I think it's been a little while before he was kind of thought that way. And so I think it's just where he was on the depth chart. It didn't look like he was going to get a shot.
Next one from Chris. Is Draymond's suspension one of the weakest suspensions you've ever seen? It was a joke, reputation or not. Even worse, to do it in the playoffs.
Yeah, I thought it was shit just because of how much it affects things. And I understand he's got to understand consequences, but the consequences were there already. They lost that game in part because he wasn't available, and now they're down 2-0. And you're talking about an era perhaps ending in with Golden State and major decisions.
But if it was Draymond's reputation.
Oh, absolutely. And
that's why he got the game. And
what's worse is that, like, you want eras to end when they're supposed to end. Like, you can tell when a team gets old, right? Celtics, Pistons, whatever. You know it. It's like, they got passed. Like, I'm 100% good with, like, this young, fun Sacramento team in a town that hasn't won forever, supports the hell out of basketball, passing them. That is great by me. What I don't want it to happen is, did they really pass him, or did Draymond being absent allow them to win this game? That said, I would still jump on that at the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. I would jump on the to win it 4-0 to sweep. I would jump on that.
Last one from Eastlick. Next 3 seasons, over under 1.5 Final Four appearances for MSU. Under.
Yeah, you have to say under. It's hard to do.
Right.
I mean, obviously, it's possible with the groups they have the next couple of years that this could be a really good run for them. But if you're betting and you have no emotion in it, just based on how hard it is to do that and what has to go right, you would say under.
Jay Riemenschneider next. Blaha and Strayhorn seem to think it's a deep and talented MSU team that could battle for the division if everything breaks right. What do you say?
Yeah, man, I mean,
where's Blaha talking right now?
He's at the spring game thing. He did.
Oh,
he showed. I'm like a schoolgirl. Blaha showed up to the last press conference before the spring game, and I'm just sitting there.
I know. I don't want people
giggling.
to hate George, the legend that he is, because of our fanboy stuff. So
yeah,
people are gonna be like, God, Blaha.
But Blaha and Strano are paid by the university, and so they're going to have. It's just important to remember, who cuts their checks and what their perspective is going to be. It doesn't surprise me they say that. I do think there's more depth. Everything breaks right. Like 6 broken legs on Ohio State's team. If that's everything breaking right, then we're
not Liz Frank.
Liz shows up.
Holy shit!
In Columbus, and boom, they're in it.
Riemann Schneider. If MSU basketball had lost in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, would all this hope and hype still be happening? Seeing what they had done the past couple of years, it's basically the same. Already veteran team minus their second leading scorer.
Yeah, if they had beaten USC and looked okay, but then got outplayed by Marquette or played a competitive game and lost, I still think there'd be a lot of hope for next year. But I do think the Sweet 16 invigorates people without question. Go through that extra week where they were, and to play the way that game unfolded, even though it didn't go their way. I just think that it definitely invigorated people. I think people would still have hope and hype. They would question whether the guys returning had the goods to get them there, though. I think what the Sweet 16 did is it made people think a Tyson Walker, A.J. Hoggard backcourt is a backcourt that can get you someplace, especially if you had these freshmen. Whereas before it would have been like, are these guys good enough to do it without somebody coming in and beating them out?
Next one from Jay. Pretty sure LeBron is in there for you, but has KD and or Steph entered either of your NBA top 10 all-time player rankings? Well, LeBron, yeah, he's got to be there.
Steph probably is now.
Steph would be. I don't know. KD's tough to leave out.
Yeah,
he's recency bias seeing KD and.
Yeah, but
Steph changed the game.
Yeah, no, totally. And KD did too, in the sense that he's a 6'11", 7-foot shooting guard who can do things that nobody's ever done. All those guys. The thing about all three of those guys is they can all three do things that nobody'd ever done before. And that puts them in the conversation. We'd have to go through it. Like guys like, obviously there's the Wilts and the Kareems, guys who are automatically in there, but what about like the Akeems and those guys? Like where to, you start.
Yeah, somebody's going to have to.
It adds up pretty quick.
Out of the top 10.
Yeah.
But what about if KD won 2 championships with Oklahoma City?
Right, and that
I think we talk about him differently.
That definitely affects things a little bit. But yeah, I would. They're in that conversation for sure.
Last one from Jay. Would you rather all the hair on your head, eyebrows, beard, hair, everything be fully gray, or would you rather be fully bald on top? Would you rather all the
I would
hair
rather.
on
I would
your
rather
head?
be fully gray than bald. I'm not sure what my head
yeah.
might look like a giant penis. I don't know that it would. I don't know that I'd want that for
like The Rock.
Yeah, but his head looks good at least, right? No,
yeah. No, he looks like a penis.
Oh,
no offense
okay.
to him, yeah, but the one time,
no offense, but you look like a penis.
Well, he does. Even he would say, yeah, I kind of look like a dick.
You know what I would sign up for on all these little, would you this or this or this? What I would sign up more than anything is to be able to eat 6 groovy donuts a night for the rest of my life without gaining a pound or without affecting any of my blood work numbers or anything. If I could sign up for that, I would take the gray, bald, whatever, and if I could, that would be the.
Are pubes normal?
I don't care if I can do 6 groovy donuts a night. I would take a lot of other consequences as long as I could be relatively healthy.
You take gray pubes.
Yeah,
it's worth it. AI God next. Is there a chance that MSU is hiding Payton Hauser so other teams don't try to entice him to transfer? It's confirmed he had the best first scrimmage, and he had more reps than Kim in the second scrimmage.
Yeah, I've heard that he that he played more at certain times than he did in the last scrimmage. But the coach, here's the thing. I don't think that they're hiding him, because if anything's going to drive him to think he's not going to get a fair look, it's that. And I don't have information that that's happening. I think Payton Hauser's sticking around. He's going to be in the fight. If Payton Hauser were to leave, by the way, because he doesn't think he can beat out Noah Kim or Payton Thorne, then where's he going to go? Like, he's not going to find a quarterback situation in college football. Like, it's not like those guys aren't capable, but every decent program has those two guys at minimum. And if you're scared of those two guys, when they're older than you too, you're scared of that battle, you're just not going to make it as a quarterback. MSU shouldn't want that guy. I don't think that's who Payton Hauser is. I don't think they're hiding him to avoid. I think, if anything, if there were any games being played, it was probably to keep the other guys happy, if they wanted all those guys back, because they are aware of who who gets the reps and what's going to be interpreted from that scrimmage. I mean, that's the thing. They know that's the one on display. They didn't put him in that 2-minute drill. I think he thought he was going to get that opportunity. He wanted that opportunity, and he didn't. So I mean, but I don't think they were doing that to hide him. And frankly, he did get some chances and didn't have a great day, which is fine. But he didn't do enough to suggest that when he did get the chance that it would be a lot better.
JD next. Fight Night of the Century, the sequel. Solari versus the TV exec who schedules MSU for night games. Charbonneau versus the Athletic, and Couch versus the Sun for making it too hot during football games. Who are the winners?
There's no way you beat the Sun. I mean, we get my ass kicked there. Sun's hot. Charbonneau versus the Athletic. I mean, Charbonneau is a survivor. He's still covering the team. The Athletic is not. So I'd take Charbonneau in that battle. And Solari versus the TV execs. Solari would put up a fight, though. He'd be tough. I don't know. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see.
Jarrett next. Do you take Zion or Tillman, currently in the NBA? How about the 2016 or 2017 MSU basketball recruiting class?
Oh, you still take Zion, because Tillman, even though he's healthy and playing and is going to be a good role player probably for a decade,
I'd take Tillman.
Over the upside of Zion?
Yeah, what upside? It's 4 years. The guy's played 12 games. He's morbidly obese.
But you can find another Tillman easier than Zion.
No, I take Tillman all day for the work ethic and what he could do right now, currently. Or I'm looking at an overweight Zion who's never going to be fully healthy ever. I mean, the guy said he was healthy, he just wasn't mentally. I'm not the full Zion. Like, get the fuck out of here, Tillman.
Yeah. Okay, 2016 or 17 basketball recruiting class. This is Cassius Winston, Miles Bridges, Nick Ward, and Josh Langford, or do you take Tillman and Jaren Jackson? And so if you can only have one, and say the thing is, both of those combined, it's Cassius Winston and Tillman that created your best moments together. And without Cassius, you don't have it. So I would go 2016 because you need Cassius, even though you also kind of need Tillman. And if Jaren, it's a good question because you need both those guys. That's two incredible classes, by the way, back to back.
Jarrett, if you had to pick a school to go for college football, how would you do it? Slowly eat the donuts of the other schools until you reveal the one you pick, or something different?
See, I love this groovy donut plan. Jarrett is brilliant. You just have Monica and Andrew make up all the donuts for the 5 schools, or maybe I'd be modern. Maybe it'd be like a real true Gen Zer, and I'd have like 15 schools at my final choice, and I'd eat one of. I am concerned though if I down like 15 donuts, what the coaches would think about me coming in terms of a serious athlete. But that would be an awesome way to do it.
Nick Palmer, on his podcast this week, Bruce Feldman name-dropped you regarding your take on the quarterback race. Name the most famous person who cited your work. I got to hear this podcast. He broke down your quarterback race.
I don't know. I didn't listen to it. I know on the network occasionally on network television networks will cite like local columnists when they read a story about a guy there, when they're doing the broadcast. And I think that's happened with, guys like Vital or, other ESPN personalities who have cited it. I don't think Magic's never cited me. It's a good question. I really don't know who's the most famous. It probably, you know what? Mike Krzyzewski. He cited my work. You remember in that press conference where he's all pissed off about
cited your crap.
Yeah.
More like
couch. I would say indirectly Mike Krzyzewski citing my work about
Are you sitting on a fritter?
Poll. Yeah. That was
want to play skins and skins?
I would say it was probably during a broadcast or during the AP poll.
We're still on this question?
Sorry. Yep.
Jesus. These are starting to kick in, dude. Cucker Tarleson next. What professional sport is the most demanding? If it's a different answer, which sport has the most athletic athletes in the world?
What do you think is the most demanding?
NFL football, right?
I mean, I think
hockey is up there for me, but I would say NFL football, just getting bashed in the head.
And I think even like
running from 400-pound dudes.
You see it in college too. I think college football, NFL, I think football is the most brutal. It's the most. There are other sports like you see swimmers up at 5 a.m. just shit that I would never want to do. The laps and there are a lot of most athletic athletes in the world. I mean, you can make an argument for a lot of different things. You can make an argument for soccer players. You can make an argument for, certain types of football players, for gymnasts. You can make an argument for a lot of different things.
Max Christian's next. Graham, should we never bet on a team with Harry Maguire and David De Gea? Again, brutal.
It was bad to watch Maguire, especially. I mean, David De Gea, the Man U goaltender, sucked today too. But Maguire is he's washed. I mean, oh my God, dude. I apologize, Max. And now I'm on Brighton this weekend, and part of it's because of that. Harry pissed me off.
Harry Gagnon?
No, Maguire.
Oh,
Maguire,
I'm going to cut that and send it to him. Cracker Sofa. Graham, love your stuff on the Premier League. Are you going to dive into the UEFA Champions League ever?
UEFA, close enough. Just think vanilla UEFA Champions League.
Noted.
Yeah, I mean, I watch all those games. I don't do as much gambling with it. I mean, I did today, obviously, on the UEFA or on the Europa League, but because I don't watch teams, I like watching those games because they're incredible, but I don't have as much a feel as I do for the Premier League.
Cracker Sofa. How would you describe the perfect double date between you and your spouses? Or is it as predictable as throwing on your muskox flannels, starting your night at Hopcat for a Payton Thorne burger, then heading to Midtown Brewing to share the stories you won't tell on this podcast? Capped off by grabbing some Skymint and heading to Jason's to smash on the groovy donuts that are in his fridge. Hashtag ad reads here.
I think you've pretty much nailed the ad reads there. The perfect double date between us. I don't know. Like Andrew and Monica's wedding, that was fun. Sitting at a table, other people are relaxing, having some food, chilling, right? That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
not a double date. It's just we both went to a wedding and we had to sit at the same table.
That's fair. What would be your perfect double date?
We do it every year for our birthdays, on my Jordan's birthday, my birthday, whatever. It's just easy. Top golf, then we get high and hang out. And
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Me would be like a New Girl Marathon, Teresa and Jason.
If we were over at your house, do I have to can I present, or what is that? What do you guys say to each other? Can I present? Do I need to be presentable when I walked in your living room? I don't think some of the shit you shouldn't tell on the show.
Co-present.
That's the most bizarre shit ever. Are we done with that one? All right, okay. Neurotic. Does telling your wife to calm down ever work?
No.
Not for Graham.
No.
That's for sure.
No.
I saw him try that one night where she came in after having a couple beverages with her.
Oh, man.
Her friend.
It's the worst.
And couches. Oh, man, which show was that? Your face was just classic.
The worst part is, so that night, we drive out to somewhere. I didn't even know. Somehow we were out by East Lansing. I forget. Or we're dropping somebody off, and we get pulled over. And my wife, drunk, talk about white privilege, gets out of the car and just goes and talks to the cop. Just hammered. I'm like, gosh.
Taser.
It was not.
I'd taser.
Not great.
Officer.
Story we're telling, presented by Midtown Brewing Company, by the way.
Neurotic. How are teenagers drafted by NHL teams and then eligible for scholarships? Amateur hockey is confusing.
Yeah, different rules. That's the way it is, and it might work in other sports. I mean, they have it in baseball, but you choose then to not sign, and then you re-enter the draft after your junior year. It's a little different in hockey. I wonder if it would work in basketball, if the NBA teams wouldn't love it. Larry Bird did it. Larry Bird had been drafted before he played at Indiana State. So they used to be able to do that, and I do wonder if it wouldn't work if in basketball.
Next, I guess this is neurotic. Jason is a full-on 20-second hug between a second baseman and shortstop, borderline awkward between every inning. Hashtag Gen Z.
I didn't see this. Was there a...
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, 20 seconds is long. I don't know if it's that long. I'd have to see it.
I mean, multiple times, I guess.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen someone, and I don't know. Sports Guy 1990 next. where do you two stand on the new Bud Light spokesperson? Or should I ask Jason, as Graham's answer is a foregone conclusion? And from Clint One Ball Baney, who would have thought that Bud Light would shrink its stock price and continue market share by calling out and isolating the frat boys that drink their beer? Isn't your job to sell beers and drive stock price and market share instead of virtual virtue signaling? When is the last time you've ever seen a pack of ladies slamming down some Bud Light around a fire pit? I'll tell you, whenever. Oh, dude, I've hung out with ladies that drink Bud Light.
Same.
Around a fire.
Yeah, I don't want to say I've missed this story because I've been aware of it and I've been aware people are angry.
You're lying.
Yeah, but no, I haven't.
Impossible.
I haven't missed it, but I don't really understand. Dylan Mulvaney is the person, right? Who's the trans influencer? Who's the
yes?
Okay, then I do know what's happening because somebody else said Kid Rock is now this. I don't know.
No, Kid Rock shot up his Bud Light after Dylan McVaney or whatever her name was. So he's shooting up his Bud Light, saying he's going to boycott it. The whole thing is absolutely dumb. I just think it doesn't offend me. Absolutely not. I don't really care about that kind of shit. But it shocked me that Bud Light would go that route, especially when they have a seltzer that you could probably started there. And then you want to talk about frat boy, you're trying to get away from that. I just think the whole business thing with Bud Light was wild.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Anytime you're in business, you don't want to alienate people. You want to go to a broad, and in this country, like right now, if I was running a business, don't get me wrong, I would want to do the things that were right, and I would stand up for certain values. But in my advertising, I would be very careful about trying to appeal to a large audience if I'm Bud Light.
But Bud Light has billions upon billions, so they thought they could get cute. I think people will get over it, right? I mean,
well, it shouldn't have been. Look, yeah, it is what it is. The responses to it too were asinine, to be honest with you. That too, but and I think you guys know that's how I feel about that. But
yeah, Clint, who would have thought Eric Snow would have had a better pro career than Sean Respert, and who would have thought that Bryn Forbes would have had a better pro career than Denzel Valentine?
That is the thing. You just, I mean, Respert. Now Respert hadn't had stomach cancer. I do wonder, as a rookie, and he's talked about how that really changed his career. But Snow became somebody. I mean, he became somebody who just became
he turned his game around for the NBA.
Total physical athlete. Yeah, and Forbes, that one is amazing. Like, I didn't know if Denzel Valentine would have a great pro career, but I did not think Forbes would be a guy who would play, 7 years in the NBA and sign multiple contracts and all that.
I mean, yeah, but he developed that 3-point shot. He made himself valuable by being excellent at one thing.
And he worked, and then he worked on being adequate as a point guard, so they were able to use him in multiple ways. And then, the big thing is when he had the chance early in his career and he needed to hit shots, he did. Like a guy like Joey Hauser, if he shows up in the summer league and hits shots, and then shows up at training camp and in the preseason, like Bryn Forbes did in 2016 in the preseason, hits 58% of his threes, he'll be on a roster. And that's what you got to do when you get the chance.
Tyrone Couch next. My mom once felt up the Hoff when he visited Kmart headquarters. She claimed to be pushed and fell into him, both hands right to the glutes. I bet it was secretly on purpose. Does that make him my dad?
Wait a second. I thought I was the dad of Tyrone Couch. What's going on here?
You can impregnate a woman by grabbing her glutes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Or did he grab her? What? She grabbed his glutes.
Right. Yeah.
She's gonna get canceled. It's assault nowadays. Tyrone Couch. I met Mr. T when he visited Kmart headquarters. That is cooler, right?
Mr. T is pretty damn cool, but the Hoff, for our purposes, is about as big as it gets. But Mr. T is, Mr. T.
What year?
That's true. Yeah,
88. I would have lost my shit.
There's some sad years for Mr. T too.
Actually, no. The Hoff. I loved Knight Rider.
Yeah.
So I would have been. Yeah, the Hoff. Tyrone Couch. What famous athlete would you guys want to challenge in their sport? Since I've determined that Andre Agassi is too weak, I would pick something like bowling so I don't get hurt. MMA, boxing, football. I am out. I could make one shit on any NBA player if I had a few hours. Maybe.
Anybody could shit their pants on any NBA player.
If I could make one shit,
I think it was
right? One shot?
I think shot was what he meant there. I missed the edit. Sorry.
I guess I should have known, but.
So let me ask you this: you've got to, in front of people with a chance to compete, pick a sport where you think you have a chance to not look like a complete ass, or the best chance. What would you do? What sport? What athlete would you go against?
Joe Ingles and hoops.
Yeah,
I guess. I don't know. I'll just try to hit a three.
Yeah, for me, it would just be I'd pick a different tennis player because that would be my sport that I would have the best chance of not looking like a complete ass.
All right, Jake Hawkins. Around this time of year, which playoffs have you been more excited to see, the NBA or NHL? It's hard to decide.
Yeah, I mean,
I've had NBA on. I've had NHL on. I guess like equally. I'm trying to get into,
And what's weird is I'll have a mood like, you know how you go to your, the way our streaming works, you go to what's on sports and it has like the logos of the teams or whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just see the logo of a game. I'm like, I feel like watching that. Yeah. Okay. And sometimes it's hockey. Sometimes it's hoops. It'll depend. Put it this way. The best of the NBA, like the Sacramento Kings Warriors series, that is almost always going to win out over anything. But there are other series and especially in this early rounds of the NBA, I just have very little interest in. I'd much rather watch just about any hockey series.
Next one from Jake. Bazooka to your head. What was the exact injury to Payton Thorne last season?
I don't want to speculate on, and I think there were multiple injuries.
Bazooka time.
And I think it was something.
Bazookas to your head though.
Yeah, like hip level, stuff early on. But I don't want to speculate.
Lower torso.
Yeah.
Blink twice if it's lower torso. Like what the. Next one from the Hawk. How many more players do you think MSU will lose via the transfer portal after spring practice, aside from the 2 that have already entered?
I would put the over-under at 2, and I think that's 2 more. I mean, I think that's probably about where you'll see it, because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen pretty quickly. I mean, some of these guys are trying to figure out probably do they have a place, a landing spot, what they want that to be, what level they're going to be able to get to. I think that's the thing that's going to happen more and more as the transfer portal goes on is players early on have figured out that, well, it's fine I leave here, but I'm going to wind up at Akron. Am I okay with that? And so you have to be sort of aware of the reality of what's next.
Last one for the week here from the Hawk. Any big-time summer vacation plans?
What you got this summer? What's the big-time stuff?
Maybe something in June for the first anniversary, a couple concerts. That's about it.
I like it. Yeah, we're going to England and France with my in-laws.
Whoa.
Yeah, that'll be
Both?
something.
You're doing both, huh?
Yeah. It's my mother-in-law's 70th birthday, so I will turn on the charm for a couple weeks and come back and probably need another vacation. But it'll be fun. We're going to Marquette for a week. We got some stuff.
Nice.
So we're gonna miss a lot of shows, is what we're telling you. This is a good opportunity to tell you that. We'll take some time off, recharge. We'll get into all that later. We appreciate all of you producing our show as you always do. Thanks to Groovy Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com to get your pre-orders in. Swing by either location, Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. They're open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thursday through Sunday. Thank you to Skymint, of course. Happy 420 Day to everyone. And we appreciate you, Firekeepers, and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. Good luck betting this weekend.